My name is Amira, aka Mira B, and I am a writer for The Source magazine, as well as a founder for Tea with Mira B on Tap In Radio. Today, I'll be talking with you guys about Marie P. Anderson from Chicago, Illinois, about industry education in the fashion industry. Shredding down the runway is second nature to Marie. She has decades of global fashion modeling, experience working as an agent with every top fashion agency in Chicago, including her own, Area Model and Talent Management, which she founded and later sold to Ford Models. She is also the founder of Boss Babe Models. Marie, welcome to the conference.
Can you see me? Yes. Can you see me now?
I can see you now.
Awesome.
Okay, so first things first, Marie, I want to ask you, what is the most important piece of advice that you would give to an aspiring female model?
Oh my. Most important? That's a challenge because there's so much that I could share, a female model. Okay, I'll just get to the source of my advocacy. And that is to, like, if you look at this is going to answer the question. So my brand, Marie P. Anderson and Boss Babe Models, I do global model career development with dignity and self-respect. I'm going to repeat that, dignity and self-respect. Unfortunately, the mass media and social media is teaching our women to become sexual objects and to not have a voice, that it becomes all about, excuse the expression, their breasts and their butts, and
right.
That they shouldn't be communicating that they're intelligent and they have objectives in life and they have dignity and they have self-respect. So I would encourage them to focus on having a voice, being a young lady or a mature lady of substance, and to not fall into the trap of the brainwashing of American culture and repeating the mistakes of sexual objectification. And that is what's going to make you successful.
Okay. You're a big advocate of the industry, as you briefly touched on. So what made you want to be a mentor to young models and show them the way?
Well, how honest can I be?
Let's be honest.
Well, the truth of the matter is that I myself am a survivor of sexual assault in the modeling business. And I myself have been, am a survivor of sexual harassment, like a lot. And so have my models. And as a result of that, I continue to see this pattern of behavior as the years passed of my being a professional in the business. And models were having to put up with hostile work environments. And the hostile work environments weren't always sexual in nature. It could have been verbally abusive. Like we could go off on a tangent. But at the end of the day, I feel that most agents are not advocates for models. I know that I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for that, but I'm just stating what I know to be my truth, is that very rarely will a model find a legitimate agent who will be their advocate, especially now in COVID, because the industry is in a panic. Everybody's running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to find a way to keep their doors open and to not go out of business. So all the more reason that models have to do like what they're doing here today, and that is empowering themselves with information so they can be entrepreneurial minded and not rely specifically only on agents to get the job done.
Was that a tough transition for you mentally to be able to rely on yourself, like you just said, rather than relying on agents?
Oh, wow. Nobody's ever asked me that. That's a good question. Tough transition. No, because I adapt pretty quickly. It's more like a light bulb goes off and you're like,
I love it.
It's more like, oh, hell no. No, I got this.
Okay.
I'm going to take care of business.
Okay. I also wanted to ask you, what different experiences have you been through in the industry that you think would have strengthened your character?
That's a long list, girl. Oh my goodness gracious. And I don't want to sound like Debbie Downer. I love the business. There's just no regulations in our business. But thankfully, in New York, there's a nonprofit organization called the Model Alliance that has already gotten bills passed through Congress to protect young models here in America, and specifically in the state of New York. And then in Los Angeles, Sarah Ziff, the co-founder, the founder, got a law passed to make sure that the modeling agencies are accountable for teaching their models about sexual harassment and what to do about it if you are. So in answer to your question, the character building has been on a daily basis of my trying to change the industry. And maybe I might change it one person at a time, allowing those models to feel like they have, which I know is priceless, is that they have an advocate. But at the end of the day, I was trying to make it a global change. So I would say my character definitely has been built on a daily basis with patience.
Okay.
Just realizing like, okay, God, if all I'm supposed to be doing is one person at a time, okay, then I will tip my hat to Sarah Ziff there in New York with the Model Alliance. And also in London, there's Elizabeth Peyton Jones with her company called Models Trust, who is also working on a global level. So I guess collectively, we as advocates are developing our character on a daily basis.
Okay. Okay.
There's a lot of crap to put up with.
I can imagine. I can imagine for sure. I mean, earlier you said you had at least 55 years of experience within the industry. So that is amazing in itself. I kind of wanted to ask you, when you first stepped out and made the decision to chase after your dream, what would be something that you'll tell your previous self today? And are there any regrets at that?
Because there's so much to tell her. Let me see.
So much wisdom.
Exactly. And it's God-given. I don't take any credit for anything I've ever accomplished. It's, a higher power working in my life. I would tell her, it's going to be okay.
Okay.
You're going to survive just like you've survived everything else.
Okay. Okay. Now we have a question for a student. What was it like discovering Cindy Crawford and to see where her career went?
Well, that's a wonderful question. What was it like? It was a challenge. Because you have to keep in mind that back in the early 80s, when I discovered Cindy as a high school student, she had already been rejected by the agencies in Chicago because of the beauty mark on her face.
Oh, wow.
Her beauty was very different. There was, it was very blonde hair, blue-eyed, white skin, kind of like Aryan nation is the best way I can describe it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that it was kind of like this collective American understanding of beauty was blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin. And Cindy is more olive complected with darker hair with this beauty mark and darker eyes. So it was not an immediate success, but Cindy was tenacious. And so as soon as we started working together, she showed me immediately that she wasn't going to take any crap from anybody, that she was determined to make this a success. And she was going to listen to me, take my guidance, because I was the one that was more knowledgeable at that time. And together we made an awesome team. But it took several months. Most of the photographers in Chicago didn't get her beauty. But there was one significant photographer, Victor Scribneski, that I had sent her over to. And Victor was that one photographer that made the difference in her career, that turned it around. And then as soon as Victor started shooting her, then everybody else was like, oh, now we think she's pretty. Yeah, now we'll book her. So unfortunately, there aren't a lot of visionaries in the industry, which is ironic. You would expect everybody to have this genius, visionary kind of brain and eye. but not necessarily. I'm just saying.
Mhm. Did you find yourself struggling with the beauty standards of what America expects when you first started out in the industry?
Oh, girl. You know what? I was super pretty, although I didn't know it. I was 5'9", and I think I was a dress size 2. And
Okay.
I was told I was too tall and too fat.
Wow.
Yeah, 5'9" is too tall, and a size 2 is too fat. But
Wow.
again, that was a long time ago. Praise Jesus, things have changed.
Okay, did you find yourself battling with wanting to change your outside appearance because of those comments, or is that something you just worked through?
No, it's called an eating disorder.
Hmm.
And that's definitely one that I acquired. And that's a whole nother conversation. And I can talk very openly about this at another time if anybody's interested, but I know we only have a very narrow window to talk about stuff. But I suffered from a severe eating disorder and drug and alcohol abuse. But now I have 17 years of being clean and sober. So for me, I had to come to terms with the fact that the industry would not accept me for what I was. And honestly, I like being behind the camera and telling people what to do
Okay.
instead of being told what to do.
Okay, I know that's right. If there's anything you could change along the line, is there anything of your story would have changed, or would you say that you're perfect with the way things have gone because you're where you are now?
Well, philosophically speaking, I can look at the journey and go, dang, how did I survive all that insanity? And yet at the same time, there's an expression in the health club, no pain, no gain. So it's kind of like that mentality where it's like, wow, that was a really good lesson. Painful, but a really good lesson. So I have to embrace God's plan instead of mine.
And if you don't mind, would you mind sharing with us one obstacle that you've prevailed within your career?
There's a list of them.
I guess the most memorable, though, the one that stuck with you to this day.
I barely graduated high school. I have dyslexia and severe ADD. And so as a result, my academia was horrible. And so this is important to the backstory because I was not what you would call the likely contender to write a book. So that was what I was 17 when I graduated high school. Flash forward, I was the vice president of elite model management in Chicago, which is now called Select Model Management. But I had come up with this idea to write a book on how to become a model. And I was going to put Cindy Crawford on the cover because I had started her and she agreed and said, thank you, Marie. Yes, thanking you for what you did for my career. I gladly grace the cover of your book. So I had like support around me. But then I started telling people I was going to write a book on how to become a model. And everybody made fun of me because I did not have that academia background. I didn't have a rich dad. I didn't have anybody showing me the way. And again, this was the 80s. We didn't have an internet. We didn't have social media. I had to do everything by myself, which is a whole nother story. But even my father said to me, who's going to want to read what you have to say? You're not college degreed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, the more I thought about his thoughts telling me I couldn't do something and everybody else telling me I couldn't do something, I was like, I'm going to get this book written. And I did. And I got it not only written in America, but was published around the world in multiple languages. And not only once, twice, 3 times.
Okay. I love to hear that. That is absolutely so inspiring. It really is. And last question I wanted to ask you, the dream is in your hands. What does that mean to you?
Well, I had a very unorthodox upbringing where my father was a rocket scientist at NASA. So literally, I grew up with my father putting men on the moon. So for me, what I learned from that demonstration of life is that when you've got the right team put together, you can accomplish anything. So the dream is in your hands. You just have to create that team, those advocates around you to help you get there.
Absolutely. Marie, thank you so much for sitting and talking with us today and sharing your insight. We really appreciate you.
It's my pleasure. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram.
Yes, can you let us know your social media handle so we can keep up with you?
Marie P. Anderson. Marie P. That's the important part. Marie P. Anderson
Okay.
is my personal, and then Boss Babe Models is my company Instagram.
Okay, got it. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much.